So this is my story, Salsa Queen. Salsa Queen. First, I want to tell you guys where the name comes from. My sweet husband right here, Jim, at the time we were just dating, and I was always a stay-home mom. I never worked other than at home with 7 kids. I immigrated Mexico when I was 17 years old. I'll talk about Salsa Queen in a minute. I came to the United States when I was 17 years old. My parents are very LDS oriented. So when you live outside the United States, outside Utah, you want to be closer to the church. So my parents, that was their dream. So we came here, my whole family, my mom, my dad, my sister, and my brother. And when we were having dinner a little bit ago, I don't remember what I was asked exactly, but I said, I always knew I belong here. So when I moved to America, I never felt like an outcast. I never felt like I didn't belong here. I never felt like I was discriminated because I felt white, I think. I don't know. But I just always felt like my life was going to be here. And I am here. And I am so thankful and so grateful to my parents that they made that sacrifice for us to be here. When we first came here as a lot of immigrants, we didn't speak the language. We were illegal. So my parents' job was to go and clean the Smith store and get all the expired vegetables and expired cheese and milk and all of that. And they would bring it home for us to eat, and we were just so happy that we had some food on the table. The cheese was green, we cut the green, and we ate the rest. The bread, they will come back with big bags, garbage bags of bread, and we were just in heaven. We were just thankful. I think my family has always been very positive, so that has helped me a lot with my company and with my life to be a positive person. So I'm very grateful to them for everything they taught me. When I moved here, I became a single mother. Seems like that's been my life. I became a single mother of a child who had leukemia. We spent 18 months of his life at Primary Children's Hospital, and that's how I learned English. Unfortunately, he didn't survive after a bone marrow transplant. That I was the donor for that. And he passed away, and a lot of people they say, I'm sorry to hear that, and I was like, you know, it's part of life, and God took one, and he blessed me with 7 more, so why can I, there's nothing for me to complain about, so I've been very blessed. Going back to Salsa Queen, since I didn't finish high school and I was a stay-home mom, I always believed very strongly that I had no talents. Everybody had talents but me. I was like, why was I born without a talent? I guess my talent is to bear kids, and I was okay with that. So it wasn't not until my second divorce that I met Jim. And for the first time in my life, somebody asked me, what would you like to do? I was like, marry a rich guy to support me and my kids. But at that point, it hadn't worked for me. So I was like, oh, that's out of the question. And I was like, I don't know. Nobody had ever asked me that. So he gave me a few ideas about food because he knew I love food. And it was some pastries, some European pastries. At the end of the day, I felt like that was not a good fit for me because I'm not European. You know, I don't know anything about pastries. I'm not a baker, but I knew I love food. So at the end of the day, I said, you know what? I want to make some salsas. And now I ask him, and I'm like, what do you think when I said I want to make salsa? He was probably like, oh my gosh, salsa's like, come on, who is gonna feed themselves with salsas? Well, here we are, right? He even quit his job and now he's working full-time with Salsa Queen. So he was my inspiration. He was my rock. He was the man that held my hand when nobody had ever held my hand before. Sorry. And I'm just so grateful that the universe, God, whoever it is that you guys believe, put him in my life. He's the one that actually came up with the name of Salsa Queen. And I remember the first time that he said, "What about Salsa Queen?" I'm like, "Oh my gosh, that's the stupidest name ever." And, he was like, "Okay." So I went into a networking event and just trying to get some ideas of, names or what to do. And somebody asked me, "Under what should I put you just so I can remember?" And I'm like, "Salsa Queen." So I came home and I'm like, I guess Salsa Queen it is. And it has become such a big part of my life that in honor of that, I did my citizenship a couple of months ago, and I legally changed my name to Salsa Queen. So that is my legal name now. Call me crazy. Like they say, we only live once, right? And I'm very committed. So I know my parents probably are not very happy because they put so much effort into my name. My original name is Maharba Zapata, which Maharba backwards is Abraham, which is my dad's name. And my middle name is Eret, which backwards is Tere, which is my mom's name. So, I know they put so much effort into it, but, it's okay. I was talking to one of my kids yesterday, and I said, "Oh my gosh, I'm so nervous. I'm going to be speaking to this large group of, kids that they're going to college. And my gosh, what am I going to tell them?" And he said, "Just tell them that they need an accent and 7 kids." So that's all you guys need. And so, I'm just so excited and very humbled to be here in front of you guys that you guys probably know more than I will ever know in so many other areas. I feel like one of the reasons for my success is that I have always been very connected to myself. And it's a power that sometimes I try to explain my husband, but he doesn't quite understand. So I hope some of you guys can understand where I'm coming from. But since I was little, I knew there was more to life than being poor, And it's not about the money. It's just about the achievement of life, the success, about you guys, about the people that are part of my life, that they're part of my journey. But I always knew that there was a better life for me than staying where I was. And I always listened to that. And like I said again, you can call it God, you can call it the universe, you can call it any power you guys believe in. But I have always been very in tune with that. Like sometimes I tell Jim and I see something and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I just felt butterflies about that." And I feel like I listen to myself so much that I make things happen because I have that strong feeling. And I feel like I am a living proof that is a reality because here I am. Because I listen to my inner, I listen to the power that has called me to be here with you guys right now. Then I get blocked. I don't know what else to say, but I have so much to say. If you guys can help me out with some questions, Russell can come up here and help me out. I feel like I do better flowing with my feelings and my thoughts if I'm put on the spot.
Okay, I've got one question that you're going to answer that was over here, which I think is a great story, your queso story.
Oh, yes.
So tell us about where that came from and then
Okay.
and then I've got some other questions for you.
Okay.
And then we can ask some from the audience.
Yeah, yeah. I was going to say something funny about that. So I started Salsa Queen actually on Facebook. Jim pushed me, threw me under the bus and said, come on, you're just going to do it. So he put an ad on Facebook saying, we sell salsas. Please place your order. And I got a few people ordering my salsas, and we will be like salsa dealers in the parking lots exchanging salsa for money. And that's actually how it started. After that, we started in some farmers markets, and I'm going to get to the queso in a minute. We got into the farmers markets, and I wanted to create a brand in a line of healthy eating, still delicious and enjoyable for the whole family. So I have gone through a lot of recipes to get to the 6 ones that I have right now. A lot of people nowadays are very conscious about what they eat, so I wanted to be mindful of that. But at one point I thought, you know what? People eat chips, people eat chocolates, people eat all the junk food because it's good, it makes you feel good, as long as you don't do it too much, but it's good. So I came up with the queso chipotle and the creamy jalapeno just to test and see what people would react, because everybody's like, oh, is this no preservatives? Is this all healthy? And you're like, yes, yes, yes. So I'm like, I'm going to see what's going to happen. So I created the creamy jalapeno and the queso, and I brought them in. People could care less if it's healthy or not. They just want to eat it, because it's just so good. Still healthy, it has no preservatives. It's all nice and clean. But I just knew that people were going to fall for it, because if I fall for it, who else wasn't? So the queso chipotle, was kind of like my guilty pleasures along with the creamy jalapeno. Funny thing is that Jim, and I don't know if many of you speak Spanish, but when we used to sample it at the farmer's market, my husband used to call it casa chipotle. You guys want to try some casa chipotle, which is house chipotle? And he's like, it's not casa chipotle, it's queso chipotle. So anyway, but yeah, that's where it came from, just a guilty pleasure that is still good and
when you
delicious.
came up with the idea, what did Jim think of the idea?
He has trusted me all the way. He's been the person that has never said, he has never questioned me, nothing. He has always been right by my side, just supporting my craziness. So
can you talk a little bit about after you were the salsa dealer, you started working with farmers markets and about talking, because you told me you had to create something for white people. And
yeah, the mango pineapple.
No, but that your salsas were a little spicier at first, and then you...
Actually, I'm a weak Mexican. I'm a wimpy Mexican. I don't like spice very much. So I made them accordingly to my taste, and I knew that if I liked them, everybody else was going to like them, especially mainstream, right? I'm like, I can go wrong with that, putting a little bit of ketchup in here, instead of spiciness. But yeah, so after we got into the farmers markets, we did farmers market for a couple of years, and it was great. I remember the first day that we went into the farmers market, one of my mentors was Jorge Fierro. He is the owner of Rico brand. I don't know if you guys have heard Rico brand. It's another salsa. He was actually the pioneer for Mexican salsas and food here in the valley. So he said, just take 50. Take 50. Don't take more, because if you don't sell more, you're going to feel very, very bad. So I took 100. Within 2 hours, we were sold out. And I was so excited. I have $500 in my hand, like the most money I have ever had in a long, like that I earned, probably the most money I have ever had in my life that I had earned. So I was super excited. From then on, the people received the brand and the product wonderfully. Then my husband said, what about some stores? And I'm like, yeah, right, you're crazy, like stores, that will never happen. Well, since I'm crazy enough, I went to a store and I asked them if they will sample my salsas. They sampled the salsas, they love them. So we got into that local store, and I did 4 local stores before we got into major stores. And as I was talking to some of you guys asked me how I got into Smith's. Well, some of you guys heard the story already, but we were eating. But my husband made me so mad. I don't even remember why. I was probably blacked out of madness that I'm like, I'm going to show him. That was my way to like, I'm going to show what I can do. So I called Smith's Corporation. I had no idea what I was calling, who I was talking to, and I just happened to talk to the right person. And that's where being fearless comes to me. I had the need of provide for my kids, and I had the need to provide him that I was stronger than I thought I was. And I called, and we talked for a minute, and he said, no, we're not interested. I'm like, these are fresh salsas. They're locally made by me and my kids. And he said, okay, well, come down on Tuesday. They're fresh salsas, come down. So I'm driving, and I have no idea when I'm driving. I have my GPS, and then I get into the offices, and it says corporation. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, what am I thinking? Like, what's I thinking? What am I doing here? Well, I was there already. They were waiting for me. So I get out with my Salsa Queen apron, my big Mexican flour, all bright colors, and the biggest mistake of all, I had my Costco bag with me going into Kroger's. So Heather, obviously when he saw me, he's like, oh my God, she has no idea what she's doing. So I'm walking there with my Costco bag into Kroger's, and then I get all my salsas out, and I'm just like, like we made them. My kids and I made these salsas, and they're fresh and this and that. No more than 5 minutes, he tried the pico de gallo, and he tells me, you're in. And I was like, wait, like what's happening? He says, you're in. Within 10 minutes, he had 15 people in the office. Everybody's trying the salsas, and I'm still sitting down like just confused as hell, like I have no idea what's happening. And he's telling everybody, like, we have to make some room for this salsa and blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm like, is this really happening? And he said, you're going to have to hire more than your kids. And I was like, so he sends me with his admin to get me into the system. And the admin said, Maharba, back then, right? Now it's also Queen. Maharba, in 17 years that I have worked here, this has never happened. People die to be on your place, on your spot. So take care of your spot and take care of your product. And, that's what I did. After that, I hired a friend, and her and I were making the salsas. When my kids could, they will help with whatever, putting stickers on the containers, you name it, everything. As I was talking on the table with somebody else, I was telling them, I am so committed to Salsa Queen because I feel like I actually gave birth to Salsa Queen. I stood up for hours upon hours by myself, making the salsas to fulfill the stores because I was not going to fail them. For hours, I literally felt like my hips were going to burst. So, yeah, 6 salsas came out, and they're my babies. And here we are. That same day that I presented to Kroger's, Smith's, I presented to Associated Foods. I don't know how that happened. But I was praying. I'm like, please, I don't pray much. I should pray more. But I was like, please, that they will say no to me because what am I going to do? Well, they say yes. So I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? So here I am, Associated Food, Kroger's. I'm not the smartest girl. I have never been the smartest girl in school. Let me just tell you a little bit of how a dummy I was in school. One time we were talking about, I don't even remember what was it, but I made the mistake of asking, so wait, are we inside? Are we outside the world? We're not inside? Because I'm like, how can we not fall? And I'm talking high school, so I was like, people were like, oh my gosh. So, but I'm lucky that things make sense to me. Well, not in that case, but I'm pretty street smart. So I just knew, in my gut, that Kroger's was going to be a way bigger opportunity for me than Associated Foods at the time. So I kind of put off Associated Foods and went and spent all of my time and energy fulfilling Kroger's, which is Smith's and Fred Meyer's and a bunch of other stores all over the country. And
so I want to talk to you with that decision. Jorge helped you out with pricing a little bit. So you don't have a value product, you have a high-end product.
I have a high-end product. I always tell people that we are the Chanel of salsas, right? I'm like, because people are like, is your salsa ever going to be on sale? And I'm like, is Chanel ever on sale? So no. We'll get there though. So I wanted to create a brand that will set me apart from everybody else. I didn't want a $2.99 product. I wanted something because, sometimes when you buy something that is kind of expensive, it kind of makes you feel good, right? It's like, so I wanted to be that kind of pleasure. Like you bought it, you feel good about it, it's a good product, it's high-end. We use the best product we can use for our salsas. So to me, it's way worth it. Yes, when I was talking to Jorge told me, do not sell your salsas for cheap. So that was one of the biggest advice that I could have ever gotten from him. Like, don't settle for less. You have a price. And it is, sometimes I know that people have a problem with the price, but if you were to come to our facility and see how it's made, you'll be like, okay, yes, I know. So if any of you are interested to come and have a tour at our kitchen and go out home with some salsas, please come and visit us.
All right. I've got one more question, but I want to recap. So at first you were by yourself selling in parking lots. Then you went to a farmer's market, and then you, in a state of madness, went to Kroger and Associated Foods. How many people now work for you, and what are you looking for future expansion, just right now?
So right now, one of my biggest accomplishments in life and fulfillingness is that I have created Salsa Queen to provide for my kids and myself. And now we're providing for over 50 people and growing. So I feel so excited about that growth, to be able to provide and create jobs for students and for families.
And last with this, so we've got a lot of people out here, and you saw some of them earlier today, that are looking to start a business and are scared. We talk about fear a lot of times with students and in classes. What advice do you want to give them about that fear of getting started?
I feel, and I was talking earlier to somebody else, and I said, one of my biggest success was that I didn't have a backup plan. It wasn't for me like, okay, well, if this doesn't work out, then I can go to accounting, I can go to nursing, that I had a backup plan. I didn't. Salsa Queen was set for me. So I feel like if we all have that mentality that this is it, there's no other choice but this, it will be so much easier for you guys to accomplish what your dreams are.
Good job. All right. So you did well. So let's take some questions, unless you had something else you wanted to bring up. Let's take some questions from the audience. Did you have something else you want to talk about? Okay. Where's the other microphone? Who's got it? Oh, okay. So raise your hand, and I'll run down there and give this to you.
And one thing that they were talking about earlier, about, I think, the speaker that you guys had last week probably, it was just so inspiring too, because we kind of have the same values in our company. The people that they have a lot of in stake, or they're a big part of the company, we give them a percentage too of the company, just so they can feel more invested. They feel like they're part of the company. They feel like they belong. And of course, they want to work harder and more loyal to us, because they know that they have a stake in the company, you know, which you don't hear that much from food companies. That's more like technology, things like that. So, yes.
Okay, first, you are a total queen. I loved hearing from you tonight. Is there any service aspect to your business, or any, like, do you give back to any, like, organizations or anything?
That is something that I have always wanted to do. I had a partner that was with us for 3 years and a half. He was a great guy doing what he did, but we could not work together. And that's one of the things that I wanted to do. I wanted to give back to the community, because I have been given so much. And I don't know if you guys have heard about, it's a very small, what is it, the sharing place? The sharing place. It's a very small, it's called the sharing place. So they send families there that they have a dead one, like somebody passes away, and they help them to heal and go through the process. And since I didn't have that, or my family, to go through a healing process after my son died, I think that's very important. So I would love to start something like that now that we're more family oriented again. By the way, we bought my partner out, so I'm back to being 100% owner of Salsa Queen. So I'm so excited. So with that power in my hands, I'll be able to do more things like that. Yeah.
Okay, my question would be, how did you brand your company and come up with your logo?
Okay, great question. So Salsa Queen, you know, my husband came up with that, and actually the logo too, which I'm very surprised because he's really white. And I was very surprised that he was like very in tune with me. And he said, what about a sugar skull? He says, that's very popular in Mexico. And that brought so much joy to me to hear that, because I don't know if you guys know what the sugar skull means. Any of you guys know the meaning of the sugar skull? It's the Day of the Dead, which in Mexico is a very holy day where we cherish our loved ones that they have passed away. So we believe that their spirits come down to earth, and we put this huge feast of food, and we believe that they eat it, but we eat it. So it is a very, very holy day, which is tied in with my son that passed away. So in honor of him, you know, is the logo.
Okay, raise your hand and I'll bring you the microphone. Do you want to pass this down to Cassie?
Okay, first of all, I love everything about this so much. But my question is, if I'm starting my own business, you said you started with, like, you felt like you had no talent, so you didn't have that much confidence. And so, like, just building that up to, like, this giant empire and having even your husband quit and work for you, like, how did you go from that to this? And, like, I don't know, all the feelings. I just want to know everything because this is so cool.
I know so much. You know what? Honestly, like, I'm going to go back again. It was a necessity. Like, sometimes, there's been times when I'm, like, vacuuming or doing something, because I still vacuum. Not, just kidding. And one time I was vacuuming, and I just stopped and I asked my husband, I said, why am I successful? Why me? There's so many companies that they, try really hard to create something, and unfortunately doesn't go anywhere. But the necessity of providing for my kids, but it can be any necessity, right? It can be your own necessity. I don't know what your necessity is, or your necessity, or your necessity, but we all have a necessity of creating something. So if you follow that passion strong enough, you can get there. I'm a proof, living example of it, right? That you can. So, yeah.
Okay, there was a hand over here.
So I'm curious, what are one of the biggest roadblocks that you faced creating this company, and how did you overcome it?
There have been so many. It is hard, because I feel like most of the time I get up here and everybody's like, oh, wow, she's so cool. She's successful. But there's been tears, breakdowns. I got a partner because I was in one of those phases where I just could not do it by myself anymore. And one of the most valuable things about that, and I will never forget that, is Jim, my husband, said, the day that you have people doing what you're doing, that's when you're going to be successful. So, a lot of times we want to do it all ourselves. We want to have control of everything. We want to make sure everything is running perfectly the way we want it. And, oh, well, more money for me, if I don't hire people. But you will never grow if you have that mentality. So I think, to me, that's a huge piece of advice that has been very valuable for me, because I have a mentality, like, oh, I want to keep it all. So that's one of the reasons that I allowed to have a partner, because I just couldn't do it all by myself. But having a partner comes with a lot of struggles too, a lot of heartaches and headaches. This has been like my most expensive and painful divorce ever. So, everything has a price, everything has a consequence. So you just have to focus and just continue on and try to grab the best people you can, people that you trust, and take the time to train them. Take the time to trust them, to get to know them, because when you give that person that time and that importance, they will work really hard for you. So, but there's a lot of struggles that definitely, we have to overcome, but I think the growth is a challenge too, because we're a cold product. It's not like the shelf life is very short. So how do we get from here to Denver? How do we get from here to California? So there's a lot of struggles that you need a group of people and mentors to help you to get from point A to point B and so on. More questions? Oh, okay. I can answer anything, please. Don't be shy.
I just wanted to ask, there's a lot of Mexican salsas, and the competition is really big, but what does it make Salsa Queen so much different than the others? What does it make it special, and why should you buy Salsa Queen and not Herdes or La Cosa, whatever it is?
Yeah. Well, I'm just kidding. No. I have 7 kids that I have to provide for buy Salsa Queen. No, I feel that is a really good question, and a lot of people ask me that, and I still can never process it. But when I started making salsas, and this maybe not be too much related to that, but it means a lot to me. When I started making salsas, I was making it all by myself to a point, and every time that I was in a bad mood, I just could not make salsas. I had to be happy, because I believe that whatever your energy is, you put into your product, whatever that is. So I always shake it off, make the product, and actually in the containers, it always says made with love. So I think the quality is very, very good. I believe it's the best quality of salsas you can find out there. We have a great group of people, and it's made with love, and I make sure that it's that way, More questions, please?
We probably have time for 1 or 2 more. Oh, and I'll say you'll get to try the salsa after, so you'll know
Yes.
what makes it so special. It's delicious.
So you said you were making them in your house by yourself. What does production look like now?
Ooh. Yes, I wish I had a picture or video of that. I was making out of my home. Then I was sharing a kitchen with somebody else for a while. And then we were in a dungeon for a while. We call it the dungeon. It was like underneath a restaurant, and it was pretty scary down there. And now we are in almost 4,000 square foot kitchen, and we're soon to move into a 13,000 square kitchen. So, yes. Thank you. So production can get very intense, especially when we're growing into new markets or where there's promotions as, you know, March Madness, Super Bowl, all of that. It gets crazy, but it is a lot of fun. So really, if any of you guys would like to come and visit our facility, please reach out, and we'll be more than happy to take care of that. One of the other advice that I would like to, you know, share with you is how important it was for me. It's not what I knew, is who I knew. The relationships that I created with my buyers, they were so important, they're key. So make sure that you create those relationships within yourselves, because you don't know who you're gonna be, who you're sitting next to in 5 years, right? What is gonna become from them? What are they gonna do? What are they gonna be able to help you with? So make sure to make some really strong relationships within yourselves, because that is gonna take you farther than what you know.